So then it's entirely a matter for the state or the state working with Tennis Australia.
What I want to make very clear is that the state of Victoria will not be applying for any exemptions for unvaccinated players.
The recent Novak Saga highlights the illogical mandates we have been living with in Victoria for almost 2 years, and it exposes the dishonesty and incompetence within our government and taxpayer-funded institutions. It started off with the federal government saying this would be a state issue, and the Victorian state premier saying that they would not be making any exemptions for tennis players. We recently found out that several tennis players had been given exemptions, including Novak, who had been permitted to fly into Australia. On landing in Melbourne in the middle of the night, he's arrested and interrogated for hours by some smug immigration bureaucrat. The PM wades in and says that Novak isn't welcome. Then it's ruled that he can stay while his case is heard. As usual, the main political parties get their PR machines to start pointing fingers at each other, playing the same old political games. Fans of Morrison are saying it was approved by the Victorian Health Department, while Dan's taxpayer-funded Twitter accounts point the finger back at Morrison. A judge determines that Novak's detention was invalid. He also asked, what more could Djokovic have done? A clear reference to the debacle this had become at the hands of the government and immigration department. After being released, there were conflicting reports that he'd been arrested or detained again. Some sources were stating that the immigration minister was considering whether to use his personal powers to have Novak deported. As it stands now, he appears to be free to compete in the Australian Open, and I'm going to be cheering him on. Because this sums up the last 2 years of life here in Melbourne. Bureaucrats who have been promoted into a position of incompetence making knee-jerk decisions just so that they can give the impression of proficiency and protect their own self-interests and justify their high salary and justify their ridiculous job titles. This is the blind leading the blind, the bureaucrat leading the bureaucrat. It also points out the farce of the mandates we've been living with for almost 2 years. There are other unvaccinated players at the Open, yet the unvaccinated in Melbourne are not allowed to go into cafes, bars, barber shops, or to attend a sporting event as a spectator. Yet I can still go and mingle outside the MCG or Amy Park prior to games. None of it makes any sense at all. There's no hiding now that we need a complete overhaul of our police, government and all levels of public service. Those who are currently working within the system, police and other public service employees who see the corruption and incompetence now have an opportunity to stand up and show that they are not cowards. They will be the ones trusted to help rebuild once this sham has collapsed.